Horizon Zero Dawn, folks. Not bad at all. That was a good effort. I was told coming into this game that it was very, very well received and it was very beloved and hyped, which was kind of cool. I didn't expect I was going to like it as much as I did. I thought it was going to come in and it was just going to be fine, but it was actually better than fine. I thought there was a lot about this game to like. It was full of content, so I feel like if you buy this, you're going to get your money's worth. I can't speak for the PC port, by the way. We played on PS4. I should probably disclose that now. I would like to play it on PC if I could, but right now my hardware just can't take it, what with the stream and whatnot. So we did it on PS4. This game had a lot of content to offer, but it wasn't overwhelmingly long-winded like some games are sometimes. It was the perfect balance between, hey, there's a ton of shit in this game if you enjoy it, so you're going to be able to have fun with it, but if you're trying to just blast through it for the sake of having completed it and adding it to your roster of completed games, then it's a nice, healthy amount. Cool. We did a lot of extra stuff, but we didn't do all of the stuff. We did all the hunting. We did the main quest, obviously. We did some of the collections in terms of the collectibles, so some of the extra content in terms of the collectibles. We did some extra missions. We did all of the cauldrons. And yeah, the only thing we haven't done yet is the DLC, but we'll leave that for just now. I feel there's probably a lot of canon story involved in the DLC that I might catch up on. If we decide not to play the DLC, I will probably end up reading it online in preparation for Horizon Zero Dawn 2. But this game was not bad at all, to kind of reiterate and rehash. I feel like it might not be for everyone. Some of you guys were saying that you got bored playing some of the open world stuff and that the diversity of the robots wasn't good enough or whatever, which is all fine. Maybe there could have been some extra robots, but for the most part, this game kind of exceeded my expectations in almost every regard. You've got a beautiful world, you've got a good female character, you've got actually quite an interesting story that I didn't anticipate I was going to like as much. It was quite good. There was a point in the first couple of days where I was just playing the game to blow up big metal robots as I expected to going in. You find new robots, you learn new skills, you get stronger, you improve your weapons, you fight robots, right? But then the story actually got to a point where I was genuinely excited about it, and I was actually playing the game towards the end to find out what happened with the story. Now, I had no doubt in my mind that Aloy was going to survive and that she was going to rid the world of evil and stuff, but to figure out, I think the most exciting part for me was to find out how it all came to be the present that Aloy is in. You know, it's the past of the old humans, the Pharaoh industry robots, the glitch, the whole Gaia program, Project Zero Dawn. All of that was really actually quite exciting. Not the most novel because it's kind of similar to Terminator, but it had its own unique twists in there. For example, the whole AI rebooting the Earth and bringing everybody back and all the animals and all the humans, and then obviously that going wrong was quite exciting too. I feel like the villains were kind of compelling as well. Some of the dialogue that was written for the main villain in this game, I forgot what his name is. Was it Harris? Was that his name? Some of those lines were actually really good. I don't normally give a shit about the writing. Sometimes when the writing is good though, it stands out, and I feel like some of the lines for some of the characters in this game was pretty good. I felt like the core gameplay was actually quite fun as well. It's really nice to land a headshot on a human target, and it's very nice for you to blow a component off of a machine. It feels satisfying to cripple a leg of something big as it's running towards you and then it comes crashing down. You really feel the physics of the game, which is quite nice. And in general, the combat was pretty good. Skill tree was exciting. All of the leveling up that was, particularly in the beginning, the two left-hand skill trees, I can't show you it just now, but the two sides of the skill tree that were on the left-hand side of the game in the kind of the complete edition, it might be a little bit different to the regular version, so bear that in mind. We played the complete edition and apparently the skill tree is a little bit different, so in the beginning I felt like I couldn't get enough skills. I couldn't get enough XP, I couldn't get enough levels, and all of the things I wanted in the skill tree were very strong and powerful, and I feel like that's a good design. The skill tree is not overly complex, it's fairly simplistic, but you actually want a lot of the perks. Some of the perks in there are trash, let's be real. You know, like repairing your horse is kind of a cool feature, but you don't really need any horses in this game, in my opinion. Yeah, some other things like, I don't know what other crappy perks were there, like picking up more materials. That kind of leads me on to my other point, but I will just wrap up by saying the skill tree was very good, especially in the beginning. Some of the left-hand perks were really powerful, but anyways, some of the issues with this game, I felt like sometimes there were a couple of glitches that I ran into. It might have been exclusive to my gameplay on the PS4. It might be different on the PS4 Pro. It might be different on the PC. I had a couple of bugs sometimes, little glitchy moments. Sometimes the crit animation in this game, I've mentioned this a bunch of times, the crit animation felt slow to appear sometimes, and it kind of baited me as a player. So I would knock down an enemy, it would be paralyzed, kind of tripping out balls on the ground, and I would run up to do the crit animation, and the crit window would not appear. And then when it did appear, it would disappear too quickly. And what this led me to do is, instead of just running up for that short stab of huge damage that you're trying to get as a player, Aloy would just end up swinging on the spot, which was kind of frustrating. That happened quite a lot. Some of the Glyphhawks and the flying enemies as well, or Glinthawks, I've been reminded by my chat countless times. The Glinthawks, the roping those to the ground feels very powerful and very fun, very satisfying, but sometimes they would glitch all over the place. I felt like the flying mechanics for some of those creatures were a bit jank at times. Also, on the topic of the flying enemy, although they were very cool and it was exciting to fight them in the beginning, it started getting a bit tedious, especially when they were too high for the character. So I felt like I was constantly looking straight up, which means that I can't see where I'm going. It's okay to fight a couple of them, and it was kind of fun. Again, you rope a couple into the ground, that feels good, but a little bit kind of clunky at times, a bit scuffed, just a little bit. So that was that. I felt like the mounts in the game were kind of cool and exciting, but they could have been faster, could have been a little bit more improved. I'm talking from a point where I enjoyed the game, by the way, and some of these things are just bare bones nitpicks. The backspace was a problem as well, just quite annoying, not a huge issue, not going to stop you from having fun, I think, but you have an overwhelming amount of mods in this game, an overwhelming amount of resources that you collect. There's things everywhere for you to pick up. Medicine, sometimes you go looking for medicine and you just pick up everything in the area because you think that one plant's medicine, but it's not. So your backpack fills up really quickly. I think they could have definitely done with giving you more space. There's a little perk in the skill tree that's tucked away that gives you 30 more bag space, but I just wish that had been a little bit smoother in terms of picking things up and storing things. Backspace was quite annoying. You can sell to vendors, but it was a bit jank with that sometimes as well. I kind of wish there was a sell all valuables button. We talked about this countless times in the playthrough, where you go to the vendor and you have to actually go through all your items and find out the things that you want to sell. Just a sell all valuables, hold triangle, dial it round, sell, boom, easy. I kind of wish the game would have benefited from that feature. I think maybe these are changes we might see in the new game, by the way, but I'll move on for the sake of time. What else was it? What else did I kind of find? Oh yeah, the navigation in this game. The map is beautiful, first of all. I should probably talk about that. The world that they've built in this game is really, really nice. It's a huge size and you feel like you've got different biomes, but you also don't feel like the world is too big to the point where it takes you like 12 hours to walk across it, you know, or fast traveling or whatever you're doing, either on foot or horseback. I find myself traveling a lot on foot, which I quite liked, but the world is big enough. You've got all these lovely areas. You've got your desert areas, you've got your rocky forest, snowy areas, and then you've got your jungle areas as well, which was really nice. A lot of beautiful kind of cinematic pieces through the main quest where you're going through arches and waterfalls and rock faces, and all the good stuff that you'd like to see was all pretty good. However, when navigating, sometimes the markers for the quests were a little bit kind of clunky as well. I've heard that I think the team that made this game are the people who made the Killzone franchise back in the day, and I don't think they've made an open world game before, so there's going to be little things like this that maybe some of the team are maybe not as sharp on. The quest navigation and stuff is adjustable in the options, by the way, but I found that sometimes, you know, your marker would be over there and you run towards it and then it pings over there and then you run towards that and then it just a bit all over the place sometimes. It could have done with little, maybe a little. I've played games where the navigation system is better, let's put it that way. It could have been a bit more streamlined. Something else I was going to say on that point. Oh yeah, the fact I can only put one marker down on the map at one point, a little bit frustrating. I feel like in an open world game when you have tons of side questing to do, you should be able to put down as many markers as you want, to a point, you know, maybe like 5 or 6. Having one marker at a time was a bit miserable, so that was something I would have maybe changed. But other than this, overall, great game. Really pleased that I picked up, really pleased that I played through it, and I'm glad that I've, you know, got this one under my belt. I think this was a good one to stream as well, because when I was traveling I could talk to you guys, the chat, about some of the stuff that was going on, and that actually, I don't know if it was fun for you guys to watch, but it was a good game to stream, I think. Is there anything else that I am missing, guys, based on our discussions before that we should maybe talk about in terms of like the overall review? Overall, the game was really good. I felt like it was a little bit scuffed at times. Sometimes I got frustrated by a couple of kind of jank mechanics, but it was very, very minor stuff. The combat felt very good. Backspace could have been better. Navigation could have been better a little bit. But for the most part, it was good. It was good. I look forward to playing the second one. I think Aloy as a character was pretty cool as well. She's got this kind of raised by one man in the middle of nowhere outcast feel. So when she's talking to people as a main character, she's smart and she's clever and she's kind to people, but she's also very curt, and I love that. There was times where you're doing a quest with someone and they say, you know, generic kind of RPG quest where they're like, hey, go over there, my tribe needs help. And Aloy's just like, well, I can go and do that, that's fine, but what the fuck are you doing? You know, I'm gonna go and risk my life, what are you gonna do, mate? And he's like, oh, I'll stay here and tend to my sheep. And she's like, whatever, bitch. And then she fucks off. I loved that. I loved how brutal she was and how blunt. There was a lot of male interactions in this game with male characters, male NPCs, and they're always trying to hit on her, and she basically just tells them all to fuck off, which I low-key kind of loved. I thought that was great. Good characters to note in this game were Silence. He was a really interesting character. You didn't actually see anything from Silence at the end of the game, actually. He just disappears. Definitely going to make a reappearance. I thought his writing was very good as well, and I loved that Silence was a kind of... He was like a friend, but not a friend. He's like a villain, but a friend. He's just so totally self-serving, and I thought that was really exciting. That was pretty good. I loved Talana. Was it Talana? Talana, the huntress lady that helped you out and you did some of the hunting quests with. If some of you guys saw her, she was probably one of my favourites. And then some of the other oddball characters were pretty cool. But yeah. Are we going to do the DLC? I'm not so sure about that. Not right now anyway. Might do the DLC in my own time, guys, but I think we'll leave the DLC for now. I think that the DLC might provide some sort of extra additional canon story that we might need to know before playing the new one, but I'll leave you guys to research that in your own time. I feel like this is a good place for us to chill and leave it. I think that's us covered everything. I think so. Oh, one other kind of minor point that I might kind of discuss very quickly. It's not very exciting, but you know how when you went into combat, you hold L1 and it brings up your weapon wheel. I kind of wish you could have had more weapons slotted in that wheel. Maybe not in the same wheel, but what you could have done, potentially, I don't know how this would have been easier on PC, but on console, what they could have done is, if you hold L1 for it to bring up your weapon wheel, I kind of wish you could push L1 and then circle to flip to a secondary weapon wheel that had all your other weapons. Because I like having multiple weapons, and it's easy to swap them in-game, but it does kill the flow a little bit. Like if I'm fighting against a giant monster, like one of the big ones, like one of the Chargers, or one of the big Thunderjaw things, if I rope that motherfucker down and then I want to swap to my penetration arrows, or I want to swap for some reason to my slingshot, which I only started using towards the end of the game, I just wish there was a bit more fluidity in being able to swap between those. 4 weapons is fine, and a lot of people are not going to have an issue with that, but if you're really kind of sweaty and try hard like me, I kind of wish that you could have swapped between more than 4. I guess the dilemma is that all 4 weapons normally have breakdowns, so you're not actually swapping between all 4. But yeah, that would have maybe been a nice feature to kind of add. Again, that's not a criticism, maybe just a small baby improvement that they could have notched into the game. Is there anything else we've talked about in terms of the game? I think that's pretty much us, guys. Horizon Zero Dawn, in a nutshell, very good game. Worth your time if you enjoy open world games. The world in game looks really good. The combat feels fairly fluid. The story is fairly decent, and other than fighting waves and waves of humans, this is one last point to make as well that I've just thought about. I did find that fighting numerous waves of human enemies got a bit stale in the game because you end up just headshotting them all. And on hard mode, unless you land the headshot with a decent bow, the enemies become sponges. So there was literally a cauldron we went into where there was just a never-ending stream of, like, you know, soldiers from the Eclipse, or, you know, bandit soldiers. You go into some of the bandit camps, and at first it's kind of cool. You've got your little bandit buddy that you help clear out the camps. I actually think we only done 2 or 3 of those. Another interesting character, by the way. He was pretty good. I forgot his name. Maybe you guys can remember me. Remind me. He was the bandit guy that helped us. He kind of wears the Centurion armor. But anyways, when you are liberating the bandit camps, way too many enemies. Takes a long time. Maybe on normal or easy mode, you can just ping through it, kill them all fast. On the harder difficulties, it did feel like the bandit camps had too many humans in them. And so the human-based combat for me, this is just me, by the way, I'm not saying you guys have to feel the same, but I felt like some of the human combat got a bit stale. You know, after I've headshotted the 1000th bandit, it gets a bit old, you know. Maybe there could have been a more diverse pool of human NPCs to fight against with unique mechanics that you have to learn. Maybe they just thin down the number of enemies, or just make it easier to kill some of the late game enemies that are a bit damage spongy. That was a bit kind of miserable at times, but again, not taken away from how good the game was on the whole. Nil, yeah, that was his name, thank you. He was a very interesting character, because he was kind of obsessed with murder, but he was doing it, you know, in the name of being righteous or whatever. Very complex character, and honestly didn't get enough time to kind of interact with him. I wonder if he would have appeared at the end as well, if maybe we had done some more quests with him, I don't know. But it was pretty cool. Good game, guys. Good game. Worth a pickup. If you see it on sale for 20 quid and you're looking for something to keep you busy for 2 or 3 days, we finished this in 7, but honestly, we did a lot of extra content, and we also kind of spent a lot of time chit-chatting and messing around. I do a lot of walking about, so fast travel would have saved, but yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn, definitely worth a pickup and a good time if you fancy it. I've got nothing but pleasant things to say about this one. GG's.